All right, man, peace. So Skip and Shannon decided to have a conversation or little mini debate on who, in their opinion, is the mid-season MVP of the NFL. Of course, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
Let's talk NFL MVP. Carson Wentz threw two more touchdown passes yesterday as the Eagles won again to move to a league best 7-1. Tom Brady also had a big game as the Patriots won their fourth straight. And in Seattle, Russell Wilson threw for 452 yards and four touchdowns to put his name in the MVP conversation.
And let me say this, Russell Wilson definitely has put himself in the MVP conversation. And Russell Wilson has been probably the most underrated player in the NFL since he's came into the NFL. They've made him out to be just a system quarterback or basically just somebody whose job it is to not make any mistakes. And he's been much more than that over the course of his career. You know, they call it a game manager, a quarterback whose job it is to just not lose the game for a team that normally is very talented all around, especially on defense. They kind of have put the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs, Alex Smith, in that same pigeonhole. Well, Russell Wilson has been much more than that over the course of his career. I mean, for those of you who remember, even in his rookie season, he had an over 100 quarterback rating. I remember as a rookie, he went to Atlanta in the playoffs and almost led them to a victory there. He beat RG3 in the playoffs that year in Washington when RG3 was tearing the league up. Russell Wilson is a future Hall of Famer, with the arc that he's on right now, the career arc that he's on right now. Just hopefully Sierra doesn't mess it up for him.
Shannon, who is your midseason MVP?
I got a dead heat. I want a dead heat. No, you know what?
Did you forget about Winsylvania?
No, I didn't forget about it.
Winston a lot.
But right now he's 1A. Russell Wilson is 1.
Oh.
After what I saw yesterday and what he's been able to do with no resemblance of a running game, I got Russell in the 1 slot. I got Carson Wentz in the 2nd slot. I got Tom Brady 3rd, and I have Alex Smith 4th, Deshaun Watson 5th.
Well, I have all those same names. The only change that I have is I have Tom Brady 1, and I would put Deshaun Watson over Alex Smith for 4. I can't put Russell number 1 because even as great as Russell has been, he has a great defense. Tom Brady has the worst defense in the NFL, and he's still, of course, dominating. Carson Wentz also has a great defense. And Deshaun Watson is tearing up the league, but he has a few too many turnovers. I mean, of course, this is prior to the injury that will have him out for the remainder of the season. And his team is only 3-4.
That's all you got to say?
That's it.
Really?
Yeah. I tell you what, if you got Tom Brady in any of the first 2 slots, you're going to have to do the rest of the show by yourself.
Bullshit. Your black ass ain't going nowhere, Shannon. Just knock it off.
I'm going to do the rest of this show by myself because I got Tom Brady at 1, 2, and 3.
Stop.
I wouldn't go that far, but Tom Brady's definitely the MVP thus far this season. First off, the man is 40 years old. He's dominating, and he has the worst defense in the NFL. I mean, the man is incredible.
Stop it.
I do. Listen, it is extraordinary what this man is doing, overcoming the worst defense in pro football.
Agreed.
In yards allowed, they're dead last in yards allowed.
What about points in the last 4 games?
Okay, they're starting to come alive and come around, but it's.
That's the reason why they could trade a Jimmy Garoppolo, because they have so much faith in this man, Tom Brady. And it's not even so much the performance, the passion that he still has is what allows them to say, we can trade a Jimmy Garoppolo. And just by the look in Tom's eyes, we know that as long as his body does not break down, he'll be here. We can draft another quarterback, and we'll have 2 years or 3 years to build that quarterback up for when Tom finally has to leave, and we can plug in another quarterback.
But is he not doing it without his security blanket go-to number 1 receiver, Julian Edelman? Is he not doing it having to work in new guys, Brandon Cooks and Philip Dorsett?
Brandon Cook has been great for them. Great route runner and makes clutch catches, and he's explosive.
Is he now going to have to do it without Chris Hogan, who looked like when he left last night, his arm in a sling, it looked like his shoulder got busted. I don't know the outcome of it.
He'll be fine and ready to go.
I was just about to say that. That man will be back. He'll probably miss a week, if that, depending on the severity of the injury. He'll probably miss a week, maybe 2, but he's not going to be out long.
Won a bet. It looked bad to me. They took him right to the locker room. I will bet you he'll be gone. I don't know for how long, but maybe for the year. Gronk is in and out of the lineup, and even when he catches it now, he just looks a little gimpy, like I'm like covering my eyes, like, oh, don't hit him, don't.
Well, whenever Gronk catches the ball, you are going to get a little antsy when you watch them play because he's so tall. So due to the fact that he's so tall and powerful, guys are always going to go at his legs, and those type of collisions. It's always a recipe for something gruesome to happen, particularly in the NFL. When you're 6'7" and you're always going across the middle, down the seam like that, and you have those safeties, they're 5'11", 6 feet, 220, and they're trying to bring down a guy 6'7", 245. I'm surprised that Gronk has not had a truly gruesome knee injury yet. I mean, he had one that was really bad. I believe it was in Cleveland. I remember Buffalo has tried to take him out a few times. But, yeah, it always is an adventure when Gronkowski catches the football. And I've seen quite a few great tight ends in my time watching professional football, but Gronk is probably the most dominant all-around tight end I've ever seen. I mean, I remember New England used to have another great tight end back in the 90s named Ben Coates. He was great for a few years with Drew Bledsoe. And, there's been a few guys, but Gronk transcends him, The dude Gates out there in San Diego, he was great. I remember back in the Joe Montana days, Brent Jones was very good. Jay Novacek with the Cowboys. Been a lot of very effective pass catching tight ends, but Gronk is on another level.
Don't hit him, you might be gone. Unfortunately, it's called tackle football, so exactly. They're continuing to hit him.
And of course, my man Shea over there. Shannon's probably the greatest pass catching tight end of all time. As route running and everything. I might even have to put him above Gronk slightly. But overall, blocking, receiving, everything, Gronk is probably the greatest tight end ever. Particularly if he could stay healthy another 4 or 5 years and put up, any type of production.
And look at what Tom Brady's doing. He's 4th in QBR, but he leads the league in big plays. So,
and no, let me not also forget Tony Gonzalez.
So don't tell me he's dinking and dunking to little Danny Amendola and little.
Oh no, they're getting chunk plays.
He's leading, and those are plays of 25 or more yards. Mm-hmm. He leads. He's got 24 and leads by a lot because Russell Wilson, who's also having a great year, has 19. So it's 24-19 in big chunk plays.
That's a great stat because everyone knows that one of the main criticisms of Tom Brady is that all he does is dink and dunk. So if he does lead the league in chunk plays, particularly with receivers that are not known for being game-breaking receivers, and missing his number one target in Julian Edelman, that is a huge check for Tom Brady as the MVP, which I believe he is thus far in the season.
25 yards or more. And even yesterday, it started to rain probably second quarter into the second half, and he's up against the best pass rush, I think, in the Chargers in pro football. And look at what he did. He had a 27-yarder, 26-yarder, 25-yarder, and 2 19-yarders to a bunch of guys that you'd say aren't very good as a collective group of receivers. Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know about all that. Well, Brandon Cook is a top receiver.
Mm-hmm. And then I thought little Gillislee, he's not that little, but I thought he was going to be a factor and a force. He is not LeGarrette Blount. He's been a mild disappointment.
Yes.
Now more and more they're going to little Dion Lewis, who's 5'8", what is he, 195?
Yeah, but you notice Lewis and Burkhead and even Dion and White, James White are getting carries. And I think Gillislee fumbled that ball a couple of weeks ago, and he hadn't gotten back out in the doghouse. But Skip, look, and I know Tom Brady's playing well.
I'm surprised that Skip let them decorate his set with all that Halloween bullshit. Isn't he allegedly supposed to be some big-time Christian? Supposedly, allegedly.
Well, but if you look at Russell's offensive line with no resemblance of a run game, and he's been better. And for the longest time, we already knew what Tom Brady was going to be. Because for the most part, with the exception of maybe Corey Dillon, and a couple of times he had LeGarrette Blount, and he had Antoine Smith one year. But for the most part, he's had okay. They can't even try to run the ball. 17 carries yesterday for 3 yards between the rest of the running backs. But
he's got a defense though, and Pennsylvania's got a defense.
I couldn't tell by yesterday. Huh? I couldn't tell by yesterday.
Yeah, but come on, Shannon. We all know that Seattle's known for their defense. Their secondary is renowned. The Legion of Boom. Everybody knows them. Even though they're getting a little long in the tooth, they getting that mileage is starting to add up with the Legion of Boom. You could tell because they don't they're not as dominant as they once were, and they're very fortunate to play in a division, the NFC West, where they're not really facing any other great quarterbacks. Right now, Jared Goff is up and coming. Carson Palmer is on the other side. And, of course, San Francisco, I believe they got C.J. Beathard, who's a rookie, and nobody really knows how good he's going to be. Now they have the new incumbent quarterback with San Francisco, that being Jimmy Garoppolo. So we'll see. But I agree with Skip. Russell Wilson and Carson Wentz, they clearly have more help, particularly on the defensive side of the football.
Until yesterday, they were the number one scoring defense in pro football until they ran into Deshaun Watson.
But Pennsylvania, he'll solidify. He got something up his sleeve.
He ate up those 49ers.
Don't do that, Skip.
Huh?
Don't do that.
Well, he did. So did the Cowboys. The Cowboys ate him up worse.
Yeah, but it was a nice sunny day out here in California. Wentz was throwing in the rain, the slush.
Was he?
There was a deluge going on in the East Coast.
Was it?
Yeah, and he gave it to him.
He said deluge. Shannon's so stupid.
To him.
All
Gave
I
it
know
to him.
is that Tom Brady has his team, as vulnerable and flawed as it is, at 6-2, which is just barely the number 2 seed behind your Pittsburgh Steelers for now in the AFC.
Yeah, for now, because I believe that they're going to catch Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, every year they have the most talent, but they're so mentally fragile, and they always have a bunch of distractions going on in their locker room. And I guess you can blame the coach for that. I do like their coach, but he does, the team is normally going to follow after the mental approach of the coach. So when you have a guy like a Mike Tomlinson, who's very, very fiery and also seems to have an issue controlling himself sometimes, the team is also, that's going to trickle down to the team. And he does not seem to have a very hard and fast protocol for how players are supposed to conduct themselves in the locker room. That's why he has all these upheavals with Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell and Bryant and all these guys. I mean, even the quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger, always running his mouth about how Tomlinson does not have, the team buttoned up.
I still think it's the best team because it has by far the best quarterback.
Yeah.
And if he's ever going to be an MVP candidate at age 40, it's now. Because look at what he's 16 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. So Wentz is 19-5. He's got more. Deshaun is 19-8.
And Russ.
16-2.
And Russ.
Wow.
And Russ, I trust.
Yeah.
And he's a Wentz. Hold on.
Well, which is it?
Hold
Wentz in the lifetime or Russell?
No, hold on. Look.
Shannon always changing his picks. First dude I've seen in the Hall of Fame. Don't know who the hell he want to pick in football. Every week he changing it. Skip, I really think Philadelphia is the best team, and I like Wentz. The next week, I'm Russ, I trust.
Look it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. We got Wentz. We got Tom Brady. We got Russell Wilson. Got Deshaun Watson. Got Alex Smith. I'm missing somebody. Hold on, wait a minute. What about number 4 for the Cowboys?
All he does is win.
No. I'm talking about don't do that. Don't do that,
Who
Skip.
got the dub?
No, Skip, don't do that.
What is Dak Prescott against Kirk Cousins now? 3-0.
I'm trying to figure out where do I
Dubs.
place him in the MVP voting.
I'm not saying. I'm not going there. I just know this.
Well, look, we know that the Cowboys don't have a good enough record to consider Dak Prescott as an MVP candidate. But I think that he's done a good job steadying the ship in Dallas. I believe that his poise is a great asset, particularly for a team that has spent the early part of the season just trying to tread water, particularly in light of the Ezekiel Elliott sideshow. But we'll see what happens.
This team is going to win the NFC East because Dak Prescott will beat Carson Wentz twice.
Zeke.
The first time is coming up in 3 weeks.
And Zeke get MVP votes too because he's starting to eat.
Okay.
Oh, I guess he lost weight now. Now you don't think he looks out of shape to you, huh?
I didn't think he was that great yesterday. Honestly, I didn't. I thought he was okay.
I think that Zeke has put on weight, but I think it's so that he could take the punishment. I think that he went through last season and he took a lot of punishment during the season. And a lot of these guys, they get really roughed up, particularly running backs, and they don't really show it. But I believe that the fact that Ezekiel in the offseason, put on about 10 to 15 pounds. He wanted to come into this season with a little bit more, a little bit more body armor to take those collisions. Because, I mean, the collisions that these guys are taking today, I mean, it's crazy.
Hold on. How many times will you see in an NFL game a guy rushes for more yards than the quarterback throws for?
In a driving rainstorm, you'll see that.
No.
With high wind.
No.
Driving rainstorm with high wind.
It didn't happen with Kirk. His team only had 49 yards rushing, while the Cowboys had 169.
Yep. My
Well,
defense is
they
coming
also
alive.
lost.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They lost.
It's a beautiful thing.
I hope you enjoy this Wentz and
Look, I've already mentioned this in regards to Dak. Dak does have to work on his downfield throwing, but his receiving core is not good. The guy with speed, Terrence Williams, can't catch. The other guy, Dez Bryant, is not the player that he was 3 years ago. He can't get open, and he can barely catch. Jason Witten has great hands, but as slow as molasses. And then he got the little white boy, Cole Beasley. I mean, he does a pretty good job, but they have to improve their receiving core. Hopefully for them, they'll make a move on Dez Bryant and see if they'll have any takers, because they definitely need to upgrade. Bryce Butler is great downfield, but his hands are also pretty shaky.
Wentz in a lifetime ride, because it's going to come to.
You wanted to come to an end.
I'm not. I'm just telling you. I'm out front on this. I'm not backing off.
I know when it won't come to an end.
They will beat Philadelphia both times, at Philly and in Jerry
It
World.
won't come to an end again.
Well, the game plan for Dallas to beat Philly is going to have to be to stop the big plays, the chunk plays from Wentz, and hope that he makes mistakes, and also ball control. They're going to have perfect execution against Philadelphia to beat them, particularly in Philadelphia. If you remember, Philly should have beat them twice last year. Philly has always kind of had Dallas's number. Dallas is going to have to play 2 perfect games to beat them this year, because Philly lost to them in overtime last year when they should, in a game that they should have won. And then in Philly, it's kind of you kind of can't count it. I think it was the last game of the season last year against the Cowboys, and they pulled a lot of their starters out of that game. But we'll see.
Against the Cowboys.
Yep, it will.
That won't happen.
How many cases do you want to put on that right now?
Whatever you want to do, Skip.
Yeah.
They always making these silly ass bets, and they never pay off the bet.
Yeah.
Whatever. No, because I know how because of what it is. I mean, if Wentz get hurt and Philly lose, but no.
And Skip punk ass still haven't paid back Floyd Mayweather Sr. for that bet on the Mayweather-McGregor fight where he's supposed to buy Floyd Mayweather Sr. that suit.
Oh, we're betting teams. No.
And Skip is making over $5 million a year. He can afford the suit with his cheap ass.
I'm going to let it play out. And when they hook up, when they lock horns.
Did you just jinx Carson?
No, I knock on wood. I pray every
I'm
night.
going to knock on wood for him.
I just pray. I pray every night.
Yeah.
Just don't let anything happen to him.
You too.
Just don't let anything happen to him, because he got something for the Cowboys.
Yeah. God doesn't play favors like that.
Don't do that, Skip.
I'm not.
No, the Most High plays favorites all the time.
I'm knocking on wood for Carson Wentz because you just jinxed him.
No,
okay.
That's okay. We got something
We'll
for
have
you.
some doing that.
Alex Smith
Are
will
the
take care of
Dodgers
you.
done?
But anyway, that's the issue with that. As I've stated, I believe that the MVP through basically halfway through the season is Tom Brady. But we'll see how it plays out. We never know who's going to get hurt. There's 8 more games left. But right now, Tom Brady is definitely, in my view, the front runner. But anyway, peace.